Welcome to the Friendly Aussie Podcast.
We're live.
Welcome everybody to the Friendly Aussie Podcast, and we're back. We're back in we're back. Yeah,
We're back. Welcome to the FAP.
we're
What have we
back
done?
in black, and I hit the sack. And every time I fap, I can't go back. This is the Friendly Aussie Podcast, and
It's everything you lack and more.
yeah, and we're right on track to talk about some productive hacks. It's a nice
winter's night.
It's a nice winter's night
It's a
on
nice
a
winter's
nice.
night.
Yeah.
Now, Mitch, we're about to start talking about productivity.
Fuck me.
Do we want to start again?
Nah, keep going. This is perfect. This is actually mint.
Oi.
All right. Hey man, I'm a productive stoner. I write articles and stuff. That's me.
Yeah, we do things. I
Yeah.
mean, it's only taken us 2.5 months to record the second episode of this podcast.
That's right. Didn't take us very long at all. You know, we
No.
haven't done this once already and decided that it was bad and we needed to put it away.
Yeah.
That makes us somewhat productive, right, Josip? It's just that nobody saw it.
I guess that's the way. Now, I think we need to get a little on track here. What are we talking about today?
Okay, so hey guys, it's been maybe a minute or two, but we're finally getting into the topic of this discussion, which is just being a productive stoner and how to tell, whether you're being kind of sluggish or whether weed might be getting the best of you in your life. So just to start off, might start off with some symptoms, things that we think are pretty common for people to experience while they're smoking cannabis or ingesting cannabis every day.
Using cannabis daily, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, what are the what effects do we have?
Well, yeah, for the most part, I reckon you have the obvious ones like sleeping in and being tired and not really being alert throughout the day. I think another one is sort of being unfocused and not having the ability to see the long term, instead focusing on sort of when do I get my next cue or my next whatever. And that can lead to sort of spending money in an unsustainable way or, relying upon services that cost money because you're not getting some of your tasks done.
Yep.
You also have just like forgetting what tasks you had to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that that's just something that comes along with,
It's a bit of short-term memory loss, I guess.
It really
just-
is.
It's part of the plant, really.
yeah, so
But
100%.
When you do come to tasks that you want to do, it's not just that. It's that you know what task you have to do because you've written them down or you've got them memorized or whatever. But then you don't do them, or you do one of them and then you have a cone and then you do none. That seems to be a problem for like most people I know.
I think so too.
Like the old, oh yeah, I'm gonna have a cone, clean the house, and then you clean the house, and then you do nothing else, and you're like, huh.
And then I got high
And then I got high
every time.
every damn time.
But no big deal. I
That's
guess
right.
it's just big learning curve in the end. And, just so long as you can see that what we're really painting a picture of here is just kind of a disorganized, aimless, sedentary lifestyle that I think a lot of us have first-hand experience with. So it's not really a shame or anything. It's just a matter of how do we actually observe this and maybe make some changes to our lives if we're
Yeah.
wanting that.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get some fucking tips on how do we become more productive, better stoners, because we want to take over the world.
Yeah, we do. Pre-rolled.
Pre-roll tips
Rolling tips.
saves time.
And
Thanks,
yeah.
Raw.
Sponsored by Roll.
Not really,
Not really.
but please.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, there's a lot there. I think that in a way, being productive is a lot about actually keeping track of yourself, not getting lost, remaining mindful, so that you're not going down into a spiral that you don't want and that
Yep.
isn't going to help anybody. So there's a few different things that just immediately sort of pick up or I guess come up into my head. And for me, I think it's just actually to-do lists for the most part, actually
Yeah.
being organized and keeping a log of your activity. And that could be of your cannabis use. So, it could even be a matter of writing down exactly when you do partake so that you have actually an understanding of how much you're participating in the habit, etc.
Okay. But what if it's like someone who works through the day, is sober at their job,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully. Maybe not, but anyway. And then they just smoke at night. So they know that their productivity, that they smoke always at night. Every night, without a doubt, they have a nice cheeky smoke. And that's how they unwind for the day.
Mm.
Now, nothing wrong with this, but where do we get into problems here?
I think look, this is the thing. You can overdo it even only having, a couple of cones at night. Depending on your tolerance, depending on the dose, depending on the potency of what you're taking, it might be impacting you in your day-to-day life. And if you're working 9 to 5, like 5 days a week, and every night you're participating in this ritual, which might actually have, carry-on effects the next day, then, perhaps that is impacting your ability to be a high
Productive
performer.
the next day.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that's the thing. I think for the most part, it's knowing what you can take. And if you're a daily smoker, if you're someone who's done this for a long time, it's part of your routine, you can actually gain a grasp of what is right for me and how much is going to be appropriate for me at this time. And sometimes you don't get it right, but I think especially for those people who they might be tempted to have an extra few cones after work, man. You know what I mean? Happens occasionally.
It does. So we're talking about lists.
We
Lists
were.
are how I do a lot of things. I organize most of my activities in the form of lists. What do I need to do this day? What do I need to do this week, this month, this year, this everything?
Yeah, okay.
So I find lists helps a lot, but one of the big problems I have with lists is I write them and then I don't act on them enough. And one of the reasons for that is I feel like I get overwhelmed because I get other things that aren't on the list and I do them and then I kind of da and I get a little lost. So what I started doing was actually writing down things that I have done or I am in the process of doing that come unexpectedly and put them on my list, so it makes my list feel like I'm getting more things done. So I can cross them off and all that, and it's like, oh, well, I have actually done something.
Yeah.
And then I don't get into that negative loop of, oh, I haven't done anything, god damn it.
It's really important to track your progress and to see, actually, to reflect upon what you do on a day-to-day basis. So I agree with that 100%. I think that to-do lists, all different kinds of lists are important, but what you can actually do with those lists is endless. And if you keep them around and if you're able to look back on them after, a month or a week or even a day, you can then make judgments about your life.
It helps.
So, yeah, it is. It's really
one thing that I got told, I don't know, I think it was just an Instagram post that I saw or something, and I started actually doing it. Every day, remove one thing from your list. Not in the sense of doing it, just removing it.
Yeah.
Because generally your lists will get really big and bigger and bigger and bigger, and they get overwhelming, and then you kind of think you have to do this. Just remove something that you don't think is that important, and then, don't think about it after that. And if it comes back, it just comes back. But, like trying to shorten your list as well also helps.
Yeah,
That's one of the things that, I don't know, it
I
started
think
helping me.
that's really on point, as there's kind of a lack of ability to focus on 10 different things at once. The human being really struggles with that. So
Yep.
it's being able to actually sit down and decide, this is what I'm going to do. And maybe there might be other important matters on your to-do list, but they can actually wait because you've written them down in the list. So
the grid method is pretty good, where you go important, not important on the top, and then on the sides you go urgent and not urgent, and then you split it up into the 4, so you can have important and urgent. Obviously that takes priority, but if you've got not important and not urgent, that's obviously like your lowest priority. So you kind of categorize your lists of things to do, and that helps a lot.
Yep. How about reminders and stuff like that?
Reminders are
Work
really good.
similarly?
Yeah, so use your phone. You've got one for a reason.
Yeah.
Tell it to remind you every day to go for a walk or do your dishes. I have my Alexa do that for me. She tells me at 8:30 every night, have you done the dishes? And I'm like, no. And then do I do them? Sometimes.
Occasionally.
Haven't tonight. But that's really good. And then there's other apps and whatnot that can do it. So Todoist is a really good app. It puts to-do lists for you, and they give you reminders, and you can't remove some from your lock screen until you actually do it. So that is a bit of incentive on its own. And then for us, we've been using the web app. It's a mobile app too called Notion. And
Notion's actually a really great program. It's, I mean, not exactly 100% free, but you can get these credits through doing different things. It allows you to basically
it's
get
free
time.
if you have only 1,000 entries, and 1,000 entries is a fair bit.
It is actually a fair bit. I
it's
didn't know
not too
that.
bad.
Yeah.
And Notion is basically kind of imagine a Google Doc that is collaborative and interactive, but it works kind of in the form of a wiki, and it has database features, so you can create calendars and things like that, and you can assign templates and all that. It's really, really great and
Fantastic for workflow. Like you actually can, especially in groups when there's more than one person, you can really establish this is what we're doing and this is the flow. Which is, it's been really helpful for Fab for the most part. Like we've been using this program to make sure that things happen, and that they have a deadline and that we're getting them done. So yeah, it's been a good way to go. There are plenty of other apps and plenty of other tools.
You've got Coda, you've got Asana, you've got Monday, you've got Trello, just really basic lists, works just fine. Evernote could be fine, like it's a nice easy way to do something. But my recommendation is find something that lets you cross off things off your list. It feels good.
It does.
Personally, I don't like paper because one, I can't read my own handwriting, and two, I don't carry book everywhere, and phone's just always on me. So an app of some form helps a lot.
Sure.
Even if it's just your notes, it's something.
Yeah. Especially if you're not the kind of person who's used to journaling, it can be a nice way to get started. Yeah, I think that there's some other things that come to mind here, like if we're talking about just basic stuff like getting out of bed, getting dressed, and showering, and actually getting moving in every day. These are some things that you just don't get to do occasionally because you're so caught up within the activity that other things don't seem to matter as much. And I think that there's maybe part of this whole lack of productivity is that after a while, it's as if you begin to develop a fair bit of apathy when it comes to the world around you. So I would say that almost rules and goals and directions are very important if you're going to make cannabis a big part of your life. Because they actually do give you that structure and they provide you with a bit of a way forward. And you can still move, towards a place where you're actually getting, you're realizing the world in a way that makes sense to you. And I don't think that's always the case in a situation where people are consistently using a substance.
Yeah, you get very much stuck in kind of a loop. This is the habit that you formed, and it's just like it kind of keeps trickling along, and you just keep acting on that habit of, say, you smoke a cone, you play some PlayStation, Xbox, computer, whatever.
Potentially. And
then you go to bed.
So those are neural pathways that you've established over, time, and it's habit ultimately. So, if you can develop new habits, like I won't do this, I won't smoke weed until I'm finished with this job that I have to do, or I won't get to this until this. And, actually having rule-directed behavior that you can follow,
it does help.
It does help. But also, if you, by whatever means, you don't fulfill that rule and you end up relapsing, or you have this situation where you can't really fulfill upon what you want because of maybe some addictive tendencies that you're dealing with, my advice would be not to beat yourself up about it and not to give yourself a hard time, because these things do take time. It takes a while for habits to undo themselves and to develop healthy relationships with these substances, particularly if we've experienced trauma throughout our lives. We have all of these parts of ourselves that we're trying to work with.
They say it's 21 days to build a habit, and I think it was 60 days to build it into a lifestyle.
I like that.
Yeah,
That's
and
pretty
I'd say
fair.
it's pretty accurate. If you do something every day for 21 days, you'll probably keep doing it.
Yeah.
And you might stop occasionally, but if you can keep that going for about 60 days, you'll probably continuously do that until you choose very much not to.
Yeah. So it's day by day, if you don't create excuses for yourself and you stay in the moment and try to make it happen, you can make it happen. Yeah.
Other advice?
I think the main thing I was thinking first and foremost was just vapes.
Vapes, yeah.
100%.
100%. Vaporizers let you microdose so you don't get too fucking ripped. Helps a lot. But also, they're way more efficient. But you get this lighter high. It almost always turns into almost a sativa feeling high, even with an indica.
Yeah.
The indica will still hit you in the body, but you just get this sort of uplifting kind of feel rather than like being bogged down by a bong. Bong just makes me feel like, duh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
While
Every
the
time.
vape, I'm just like, yes, how lovely is life? Speaking of vape, Mitch, have some vape.
Thanks, man.
So we're on a Mighty by Stores and Bickle, probably the greatest portable vaporizer on the market at the moment.
It's a killer.
I honestly don't know what I'd do without it. I love it. And then your other thing about with your choices there, smoke sativas if you want to be a little more productive. They help. Sometimes hashish. Sam from our casting couch here is recommending some hashish, but we're in Australia, Sam. Getting good hashish is not an easy task.
If you can get me some hashish, Sam, I am interested.
I can get some blonde hash. I've seen some blonde hash going around, but it's literally more expensive than dabs. So it's like, why?
Yeah, I hear that. But dabs are getting progressively, I don't know, more ubiquitous.
They're popping around.
Probably not what you want to do. Yeah, I don't know about that.
No, dabs are not productive. If anyone is like a pothead that has dabs on the regular, are you productive? And be honest.
Yeah.
Like, if you are, tell us how.
Let
Because
us know, man.
when I have dabs, my tongue just falls back in my mouth and I'm like,
May as well just give up on speaking.
pretty much.
Futile effort. Yeah, I don't know, man. Dabs are interesting, but they're kind of like
They're the crack of weed.
they're kind of like the crack of weed.
No, they're not kind of. They fucking are. Like, I'm sorry, but they are the crack of weed.
Fair enough. I won't argue with that. The last one's probably just like, you could do something like a microdose or a cap.
Yep.
Something like that.
Okay, so this is for the Reddit crew, the Ozant crew. We all love our fucking Dynavaps. They're really good. So if you don't know what a Dynavap is, it's actually a vaporizer that kind of hits like a pipe. It fits probably about just 0.1, and you pack it in the end, and then you light it with a blowtorch, and it has a little click, and then you hit it, and it tastes so good. So good. But as a result, because it's such a small hit, you can really microdose, and it's really great to get that creativity kind of flowing through you, but not getting too inebriated that you can't like kind of function. One of the other things that I think you need to always keep in mind is have in front of you what you're supposed to be doing. So for me, because I work on a computer a lot, I like have another monitor, and I just keep a list of all the things that I'm doing that day on one side, and just kind of when you veer off task, you'll turn your head and you'll be like, oh yeah, that's right, I meant to do that. I don't know. I think that's a very stoner thing. You've got that short term and you're like, oh, I'll go Google this for a bit. Oh, God, there's an hour gone. Oh, God, I'm on YouTube. Oh, my God, it's 4 a.m. and I work at 7. My life every day.
Very true.
Not really, but keeping a list of the things you do in front of you, I think, honestly, it helps. It just reminds you of, like, I have a mission today. And then the other one is do the most difficult thing that you have on your mind for that day in the morning, like the first thing when you wake up. Like,
Yeah, get it out of the way.
get the harder things done and then progress on to the easier stuff. And if you've got some stuff on your lists that you need to do that are pretty easy and quick to do, just get them done. Like, just literally go, okay, I'm going to do this. You'll get them all done and you'll be like, what happened? It only took me an hour to get rid of these 10 things. And you're like, holy crap.
So what do you reckon, Josip? Are you like a productive stoner? Would you consider yourself to be a productive stoner?
Look, I work 18 hours a day. I'm nothing but a productive stoner. The only problem is I just don't think I'm doing enough.
That's interesting. Complex.
My issue is more I have too many projects ongoing and I can't really devote 100% of myself to one project. So working full time and then having 3-4 other projects.
Being spread too thin, maybe.
Completely. So, I'm trying to weasel things down into getting them more efficient so I can get them done quicker and better. And meanwhile, also looking at what can I cut off. But I'm also trying to still figure out how to have fun again. That's not one of the easiest things to do. Once you get into this kind of mentality of work, ethic. You know, like you've just got that behind you.
It's effortless if you can give into it. But
Yeah,
you're right.
well, it is. It really is. And then eventually you crash and burn, which I've discovered myself a few times now, and I'm kind of like slowly teetering back into that. But I'm starting to take at least like a good 1 or 2 days off a week, generally one, while the other one's like a half day where I'm not. But basically, I go from 8 in the morning till midnight, almost always trying to come up with things that I'm working on. So, I mean, in terms of being a productive stoner, I'm there. And I think the main reason is I vaporize, I have sativas, and I also don't consume too much cannabis. Like, if I look at my overall usage, I think I use maybe 5-ish grams a week, a little under a Q.
That ain't so bad.
That's high quality dank, though, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
But, you know, not going overboard. You know, if you're smoking an ounce a week, which I know people do, and some people do need that for the medicinal reasons, but if you're going through an ounce a week, you know, and you're finding that you're not getting what you want done, that might be why. That takes a lot of time to smoke, like just on that fact.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, there's a certain amount of time that's just taken up by the act of smoking. And then after, when you're just chilling out.
100%.
And all this stuff.
Don't forget as well, though, people that you hang around with. You know, if you're around unproductive people, that will have a big impact on you. So if your housemates or your friends are unproductive and you want to be, you're going to get pulled into their gravitational pull of unproductivity.
I hear you there. I think that there's different ways to be productive, and you'll often see it in people. Like, you can be very productive at finding a plug, for instance. But maybe not in other ways.
I remember when I was at uni, every Friday night, I managed to get on for about 3 years. Like, the person could change all the time, but somehow, some way, I found someone every goddamn Friday.
That's pretty amazing.
It was
actually
incredible, honestly. Like, the boys still talk about it to this day. It's a bit of a legendary, like, he really did get on every goddamn Friday for us.
Back in the day.
Man, what a good time.
What a good time.
But honestly, how good's it not being at uni?
Yeah, fuck you, Q, am I right?
Honestly, guys, if you're young and you're thinking about going to uni, don't.
No.
Just don't do it.
Oh, well, you know.
If you're going to be a doctor, go. If you're going to be a lawyer, go. If you're going to be an accountant, go.
Alternatively, just don't listen to two weird people on the internet about what you're going to do with your career. But
Or do. Yeah.
Either or. So yeah, I don't know, man. I would say I'm I'm in this state where I'm probably existing between two worlds, because I can be very productive as a stoner, but I can also let that discipline go entirely and then end up in a situation where that's very much not the case. So yeah, I think I fluctuate.
I think
and
that
learning
changes
to develop,
as you age as well.
Yeah, learning to develop habits. that
I'm
are consistent.
27 tomorrow in like literally 2 hours.
Happy birthday, yo.
Woo! And you're 21.
22.
Two. Okay, so like a bit of an age difference in terms of, you know, we've got different ideas of what we want to be doing within our lives. And when I was around your age, I was doing the sessions with mates, and it was like, you know, you'd do dumb shit during that, and you'd just smoke, and you'd basically go till late in the night and all of that, and then that would carry on to the next day because you'd wake up late, and that was great. But now when I'm older, I'm like, I want to do more shit for myself. And I think you find that as you start aging. I think like when I hit about 24, 25, everything sort of started going, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
I got to work on me a little more.
That's good to hear. As a 22-year-old, it's like I still have growing to do. I still have evolving to do.
Yeah, there's a lot. I like I'm not even close to my final form.
That's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think, well, for the most part, I think that the idea of an unproductive stoner, it's a bit of a stereotype, and it's kind of, it functions as propaganda a lot of the time. I know that there are people out there who maybe are a bit sluggish to do certain things and blah, blah, and they do smoke weed, and that is a coincidence. But I'm not totally convinced that you can't be a successful person.
Nah, God, no. There's plenty of
Smoke weed.
successful potheads. I mean, look
Yeah.
at Mr. P.D. Evans.
That's right. Look at that. I
even
mean,
if
you
he
got Joe
stares at the
Rogan
sun.
too, hey?
Got Joe Rogan.
Get him on the podcast. Fucking
Oh, mate.
Episode 3.
Yeah, easy done. I'll hook it up. I mean, if I could get on every Friday, I can get Joe.
That's true. It's in the magic. It's in
Richard
the hands.
Branson.
Yeah, yeah.
Bill
okay.
Gates.
Yep. Steve
was known to
Jobs.
smoke. Steve Jobs as well.
You got Michael Phelps.
Oh yeah, he did well.
You got Mike Tyson.
Yeah, Mike Tyson. Oh man, I want to go to his ranch.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, but you can find examples of very successful potheads throughout history who have been pretty on top of everything in their lives,
And it's what they do.
it's
what they do in their daily lives.
The important thing is to remember it's not the cannabis that makes you unproductive, it's you.
That's funny. I think there's an aspect of that that's true, but also it's not you that's unproductive. It's developing habits that work for you.
Yeah, that's
Productivity is a bit of a lie when we're talking about it in objective terms. Try and just figure out a routine that actually works for you, and if you're getting your tasks done, you're fulfilling them, you're keeping your integrity, keeping your word.
Integrity.
Yeah, integrity is the key. Man.
Integrity. I don't think Mitch knows the reference, but Integrity.
I don't know the reference. I'm
South
sorry.
Park, mate.
Ah, fuck.
You need to watch the new season. Randy gets a cannabis farm. He sells his house and gets a farm, and he calls it Integrity Farms.
I do need to watch that. You're
Yeah,
right.
it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Sick, man.
All right, this
I
has
think
been
we're
the
done.
FAP.
Yeah.
This has been the FAP, and this is a second recording of this podcast because the first one went for too long.
Yeah, we flagellated for too long last time.
And all that. We'll have a new podcast coming out maybe 2-3 weeks after this one. Sorry, but we've got some things we've got to get done in the next couple of weeks.
Yep. So just keep edging, and we'll be back in 2
That's
weeks.
a bit creepy.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I'm sorry for Mitch. Stay safe, guys.
Bye.
Bye.